Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me? We got Testa here today. She's back. Yay, the comments are working as well. That's perfect. Alright, so let's get started. Last time we looked at half guard. My video got taken down for the first lesson, but it is back. I messaged YouTube. Apparently they probably thought I was watching the Royce Gracie match, and one of them was shirtless, so they banned me. Anyway, we have half guard lesson plan. I'll quickly recap what we did last week, and then we'll move on. So these are the primary things we looked at. Because when we're getting smashed from the half guard position, we looked at underhook and crossface, seating style passes, and octopus style passes. So these are all the positions you can get smashed from under half guard. So we have the regular underhook and crossface, sitting guard variation, and octopus style. So we looked at the standard elbow escape, which was our primary move. Key detail there is just to find that elbow joint there. Otherwise, they'll trap you in place and your leg will get stuck. We looked at the lockdown recovery. That's from the underhook and crossface as well. With the jaws of life, and we saw like Eddie Bravo doing this to Royce in the match like 3 or 4 times to recover his guard and set up the electric chair. And then this is still from underhook and crossface. We had the twist sweep, just stomping your foot down and twisting. Twist sweep to Superman, which is the 1-2 combo. And the last one from underhook and crossface is the butterfly recovery. So none of that's working. You can try to set up your butterfly instead and stretch them out to sit up. Okay. That was all from underhook and crossface. Now it's where the person goes into sitting style passes. This is usually what they're trying to do. They sit and they try to get the leg free. So our counter to that is as soon as someone sits into that stance, we frame their neck away and they're forced to bounce back to their knees, otherwise they'll get swept. Or you can come up into single legs and stuff. The last style of passing is octopus style, which is this one, where they switch their base, take their legs out. And our recovery foot that we looked at was man overboard, which is where you throw the person over to the other side and then pull guard. So again, these were all half guard recoveries. There was no sweeps there or anything. That was all just to set up your half guard back. And today we're just looking at all the different styles of half guard and what their main purpose is, or what sweeps people tend to go for the most. These are just some of them. There's lots of half guards. We have old school half guard, which we're gonna look at these 4 mainly. Butterfly, knee, shoulder, and hip clamp. But just so you guys know, there's all of these other half guards that you can play as well. We've got knee twist, quarter guard, which is a form of half guard, but it's called quarter guard instead. We have deep halves, crab guard, reverse half guard, tornado guard, and lasso. Okay, if you're really interested in these, I'll look them up later on YouTube and that kind of stuff. But these are the ones that we're aiming for today. Okay, any questions about last week's techniques? Fire them now before I move on, because we're gonna move on to the new lesson now. I can't see the comments, Christine. Cool. Let me just put this up real quick. 1 second. Where do I go? Where's my stream thing? I am lost. There it is. I found it. Okay. Alright, so in the half guard lesson now. We have our underhook. So we've just recovered. We got our half guard. We used one of these recoveries. Or we just started from half guard. It's time to set up our moves, okay? The first most traditional method of playing half guard is shooting for the underhook, and it's probably one of the most common ones. This is where you give up on your knee shield, you shoot your arm through, and there's a whole system behind here where you can chase the back, do your old school moves, and etc. Okay, if the person doesn't whizzer, which means they don't bring their arm as an overhook, you can just shrug and take the back, which is our main kind of technique as a beginner. Just take the back. Okay, again, this is probably going to work up till white belts, and that's it, and then you struggle to do this technique, but there's many ways to force it. But here's the combinations for that move. Okay, we have the old school sweep, which is the traditional. You underhook, the person on top whizzes. That means brings their arm underneath there. So we reach for the 4 toes of the basing leg there, and we come up. I need to get my drawing tool out. Hold on again. Here we go. So the time to go for this move is when it's broken. The person whizzes you with this arm. That's your big indicator. Go for this move, okay? Because there's no way you can take the back anymore. So this is the arm that's going to shoot in between the legs. And ideally we will reach for the toes. I grabbed it wrong there as being lazy. But you should be reaching for the last 4 toes. So you can get the maximum torque on the leg. And you're just getting up on your forehead, using that underhook there to pull yourself up and pull the toes through. And that's how you sweep them. Very powerful sweep. We're going to see later on in the fight Lucas Lepre doing this a lot. And then we have our last one, which is the whizzer sweep, it works great in combination with that last move that we did. I go for the underhook. As I reach for the leg, Kirsten bases her leg out. So we sweep her over to the other side. So that's our underhooking chain from there. And honestly, if you just cycle through these 3 moves, you have a very good chance of sweeping someone. Even if the first or the second technique doesn't work, you move on to the third one, which is this one. And if this one doesn't work, it's usually because they base their arm out. The whiz is the thing that's sweeping them right now. So if she let go on based, then we'll just go back to the first technique. We'll go to the back again. Because again, she's not whizzering anymore, so you can shoot for the back. So the underhook, the old school half guard, they consist of these 3 moves. And you're just cycling through them until you finally get one. Cool? So that's our old school half guard. The next guard is the butterfly half, which is used mainly for sweeps. And there's a lot of submission chains that you can combine it with as well. But your primary move from here, once you get your butterfly, we take our underhook, and we kind of, as long as we have the underhook and the butterfly, we don't mind people cross-facing us, because that means they have no base to the side. So it's easier for you to sweep them. So you see here, Kirsten hugs my head, and I allow it this time, because I have the butterfly, and I use that to sweep her. Many methods of doing the sweep, but this is the safest method in terms of no-gi. person underhooks you, crossfaces you, you just use that to sweep them. We have the gi variation. This is a bit different. In the gi, it's a bit more powerful to take the overhook instead. So you reach over the top and you grab the belt. It's a great tool to pull someone onto you and start in the sweep sequence. And you, like for the first move that I showed, this one, we kind of have to force the person to put pressure on us for us to sweep them, to make the sweep easier. As for the gi variation, you can kind of force it by pulling onto the belt so that you pull the weight onto you instead of your partner. So there you see me pulling her onto me and then I sweep her over. So this is quite a good sweep. So with the arm basers, so Steve's asking, with the butterfly sweep, how do you prevent your opponent from basing the arm out? On the no-gi variation, which is this one, I allowed her to cross-face me. So, you see, that's our arm based right now. So I let go of the punch block, and she hugs my head, right? The other way you could do this, you can use your arm to pull her arm towards your head. So I kind of do it right in the last second where I trap it there. So I just hug it like this. So that's one way to stop them from basing with the arm. In the no-gi scenario. By using the overhook, okay? In the gi variation, I used a wrist grip. See here? I just grabbed onto the wrist. And I just kept it there. Cool. So you're either controlling the wrist with one hand, or you're overhooking it to make them hug your head, if that makes sense. And they can still base on their legs, so she can bounce on her legs for base. But that's when we do the follow-up butterfly hop, which is not here, but if you watch any good butterfly player, you'll see them bouncing on one of their toes. I'll use you can probably find one of Ross's videos after, so you can see it better. So that's the gi variation of the butterfly. So far we've looked at the crossface game plan, which was all the old school moves. Sorry, not odd. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Looked at the old school half guard, which are all underhooks and coming up with wizard sweeps and stuff. The butterfly half for sweeps. And now we're going to look at traditional knee shield half guard, okay? So the knee shield half guard, let's talk about this a little bit better. I'd say, like for strategies, right? Underhooking game plan is very good against people better than you, to be honest. So someone who's much better than you, this is one of the most powerful sweeps to do for you. The butterfly one, you've got to practice the butterfly guard a lot. It's one of the most unforgiving guards, in my opinion. You have to get really good at it. Practice it a lot to get decent thing, because it's, if you miss one little thing on the butterfly sweep, it's very easy for them to pass, switch their hips, and etc. The knee shield half guard is more of a defensive / attacking position. This is where you're gonna go for your submission hunting scenarios, okay? So this Tomo half guard is just, you've got a knee shield. Traditionally, most people play it with a collar grip and a sleeve grip. So there's not many sweeps that you can go from here, except for a butterfly sweep if the person bases up on this leg. But your main goal now is to either submit your partner or look for some form of submission, okay? The first one that we look at is the loop choke, which is very common. This is when people are trying to pressure you even though you have that hand quite deep in your collar. A lot of people try to smash your knee shield. So you draw up on your elbow, they will force the pressure down like this, and all you're doing from then on is letting go of your knee shield, reaching over the top, 4 fingers go under the elbow, and you get your loop chop attempt. I threw my leg over the top just for extra pressure there, but that's our loop choke scenario. Okay, so you go for this when you're in this sort of knee shield base and someone's pressuring you. That's the real good time to go for it. Okay, you can't really force it, because if you try to grab the head or force them down, they'll know something is up. Okay, so I'll save this only when someone's pressuring you and you have that deep grip. So that's our first submission that we can go for from our knee scenario. The next one, very popular, is the Kimura trap. Again, we're setting up from our knee shield with the collar grip and the sleeve. Or if it was no gi, we'll just use a frame instead and a wrist grip. And this is Kimura trap system is all about attacking this arm. So there's lots of setups, but I think I showed the overhook one. So from here, I overhook and I force Kirstine to get the crossface. And I throw my leg over the top. So here we have arm crushes and Kimura's attempt. So there I just showed the Kimura. But you could also go for that arm crush move that we see done quite a bit. So again, we have the collar and sleeve. And these are kind of aggressive moves that you go for. So you literally find the arm and just go for it. These are like, you have to be aggressive to go for them. It's not like you wait for a certain indicator for you to try it, like the loop choke one. This one is essentially, you find the arm, you just snatch it on aggressively. So again, one more time, reach under, throw the leg over, and start attacking that arm. So from our knee shield scenario, we know that we're hunting for submissions. Okay, we're looking for loop chokes, Kimuras. These are just two little things, but you could go for a lot of more moves there. And then the last half guard we're looking at is the hip clamp half guard. One of the best in terms of keeping your partner stuck. So if you're playing against someone who moves a lot or is fast, or they're trying to stand all the time, you're better off playing this hip clamp, okay? Which takes a bit of practice getting used to, but it's basically a form of crossing your feet. So there. But what this does is you can only, if someone's ever done this to you, you will feel the pressure on your hip and you realize why it's so powerful. If you're just watching, right, it just looks like a normal cross of the feet. But there's a key thing in this cross, okay? I've shot my bottom leg really deep through. So normally when you're playing half guard, this bottom leg is like just hooking, right? But you see my leg is all the way up and is going underneath this top leg, which is a different style of crossing your feet, and it puts like a lot of pressure on the hip joint. Kirstine can't really smash my legs at the moment. If she tries to pressure, the more pain she'll cause onto her hip. So you can really hang out in this position and the person on top won't be able to stand, which is one of the most common problems we have from knee shield, is people just stand up and you can't play your half guard. So this was essentially stop it. And from there you can kind of find out what sweeps you're going for. There's a whole system behind the hip clamp, so there's a cool hip clamp move set there. I'm going to show you, this is one of the primary moves, which is the wheelbarrow sweep. Made famous by, I think it's Kayotera, or one of Kayotera's students showed this to him, I think. But it's a very powerful sweep. So you just cross your feet really tight, you go belly down, and then you just force the person to collapse onto their side. Yeah, the hip clamp is probably one of the hardest half guard to pass if you don't know what to do. And beginners and stubborn people will always try to pressure it, and it'll give you tons of move. The next good thing about it, right, and this is what I use it for the most, is to set up clamp guard or triangles and etc. Okay, especially against people who are still trying to pressure you. So you set up your hip clamp, okay, and a lot of people will try to underhook you with this arm, because generally we're taught in half guard you want to smash someone, get the underhook and crossface. But with the hip clamp is very different. You have to deal with that hip clamp before anything. A lot of people don't know that, so they'll still try to pressure you, which means this underhook reaches too far and you can just pull your leg out and start setting up this triangle, okay? But again, you have to get a good hip clamp going on, because if this isn't in tight and Kirsten pressures me, she'll end up in a very good smashing pass. So make sure to get the right cross of your feet. People with longer legs, it's a lot easier for you to do this hip clamp. People with shorter legs, it's harder, but your hip clamp will be tighter than people with longer legs, if that makes sense. So smaller people's hip clamp will hurt you more, while but it's harder to get. Longer people legs, you'll be able to get this really easily, but it won't be as tight, but still effective. So everyone tells me this. My legs feel a bit short to do the hip clamp sometimes, and a bigger person, like I can't get my hips. You wouldn't be doing this against someone who's like twice your size, okay? Because you can put a lot of pressure on your knee if they sprawl on you. So make sure you're doing this against someone, I'd say like 5 to 10 kilos is okay. So I can do it on people like 10 kilos heavier than me, but I wouldn't do it against someone who's a bit heavier than that, okay? If you're finding it hard to get your feet crossed, which is everyone's issue when I teach this, to be honest, okay, it's because they are not shooting the bottom leg through. Okay, everyone thinks, you see where my leg is right now? People just cross their feet from here. But look how far I shoot that bottom leg through. So, you see? That's what makes it really tight, or easier to get as well. But again, don't do this against someone who's too big, okay? Because their thigh is probably twice the size of your legs. So you're not going to realistically be able to set up this guard very well against someone's twice your size. But again, someone's your size or a little bit heavier, you should be okay. And it's enough pressure for you to take. Yeah, you can. I used to have when I first learned this guard, I used to have issues with my knees doing it because I wasn't shooting my bottom leg deep enough. Like that. I just used to cross them and thought that was the hip clamp, but it used to hurt my knees, and people used to be able to smash my legs really easily. But the more I shot this leg through, then I crossed, then I got the hang of it. But you just gotta like get used to using it. Yeah, everyone's legs will feel like super tight. So if you ever been put in this guard, it feels like someone is like, they're like squeezing your legs super tight, but there's like no effort at all from the person on the bottom. They're just cross their feet and that's it. But from the top, it feels like they're like purposely putting pressure on you for no reason. How do you get your legs out for the triangle? This is a terrible angle I put here, but I filmed it on. But basically, right, you've crossed your feet. When they pressure you, so right now Kirstine is sitting on their heels, right? So she's sitting down on my bottom leg, so I can't take her out. When she starts to pressure me by trying to get this underhook, it means that she'll elevate her hips and my bottom leg will be free. So you have to imagine that, but you're going to see she's going to pressure me. She's not doing a very realistic pressure there, but when people are going to do this to you in rolling, they will put all their weight on top of you, trying to crush you. So this leg will be completely free, and you just take that leg out. And it's basically like a guard pull. You just think of it like a guard pull, and because she's so fixated with the underhook, she'll give you the triangle. So you're not kind of like setting up a triangle per se. You're just trying to pull guard, and she'll leave her arm out there, and you'll be able to get the triangle. And here's a clamp guard. That bottom leg will probably be stuck, but there's lots of ways to transition to the triangle from there. But yeah. So we have our underhood, old school half guard, which is these moves, which are all to do with underhooks. Okay, so if you want to play the old style of half guard, this is probably one of the best chains there. And if you get really good at this, you can probably sweep people who are much better than you with this, because it's very hard to counter. A lot of things to watch out for when you're doing these moves, like guillotines and etc. So just be careful with those. But these are all to do with underhooks and looking for that far leg, or our wizard sweep, which is they base the leg out. Oh, sorry, that's the old school sweep. And the last one's the wizard sweep. They base and you shrimp them over. Butterfly half guard primary moveset. So that's the, if you want to play butterfly, we're looking for those sweeps. When we look at half butterfly in detail, we're gonna see we got lots of attacks on this arm, and we got leg lock entries as well. But usually the primary focus for it is for the sweep. Remember, in the gi variation, we'd rather take the overhook sometimes. It's a bit better, especially against defensive fighters, because you can really pull their weight onto you. That's it for our butterfly transition. Then we have our knee shield base, which is all our attacks. They come from there. We have our regular loop choke if someone's pressuring you. And we have our Kimura trap system. Again, when we look at these Kimura traps and knee shields all in detail, you will see all the entries clear. But for now, I want you guys to have a game plan for what guard you want to get good at and which moves you want to focus on. And then lastly, we have our hip clamp, which I would say everyone should learn a little bit of this, even if it's just how to get your feet crossed. Because all of the issues from all of these chains over here is that if the person stands up, then they're gonna force us to play open guard. We can't force someone down to stay in half guard, playing normal half guard. Okay, unless they're scared of standing. With the hip clamp, you can keep someone on their knees the whole time. So that's the only reason I say everyone should learn this one a little bit. And that's our wheelbarrow sweep, followed by our hip clamp sweep. Triangle sweep. Which is just when they pressure you, you pull the triangle. Alright. So what's our old school half guard? What we're looking for the most in this one? Let's see if people get it right. So if I'm going for old school half guard, what's my main focus? Let's see who gets the brownie points. Who's been paying attention? Yes, very good. First one, underhook. 1 brownie point for you. If we're going for butterfly half guards, what's our main moves from here? Or our main goals? This one's easy. Which one is it, Christine? Christine's playing games on her phone instead of listening to the class. No one knows the butterfly one. Jesus. Ginger, you should know this. We'll let Steven will know. 100%. Did my internet fall? So the butterfly one, the answer I was looking for was usually this. The game plan for here is sweep usually, so it's just sweep. So for playing old school half guard, we're looking for underhooks. Butterfly guard, we're usually looking for sweep out of it. Knee shield half guard. If we're playing this sort of form of half guard, what we're looking for, it's alright. Attack, yes, okay. Knee shield half guard, that's our attacking sort of half guard. Throw your legs over, start looking for kimuras, start looking for loop chokes, etc. And a hip clamp half guard. The main goal for this, control, very nice, yes. This is to stop them from standing. Okay, yeah, and remember to shoot your leg deep. Cool. So you do want to get good at usually all of these at some point, okay? So you can have a proper game plan. So it will go like this normally. You get stuck in half guard. You're playing against someone who passes standing a lot, okay, like me. So if you get them in the half guard, you should be throwing in your hip clamp as soon as you can to stop them from standing. And then from the hip clamp, if you like hip clamp, you can play your whole hip clamp system. If you don't like the hip clamp, you can shoot in for your underhooks. If you can't get your underhooks, try to set up your butterflies. And if you're more of attacking, you're looking to submit me instead, go for your knee shield instead. Okay, so that's how the system develops over time. Okay, and we also have all of these as well. Okay, but that should hopefully give you an insight on how to play half guard. A lot of times we play half guard and we're just looking for that underhook and things are going like not as we planned, or you can't even get the underhook, so you don't have anything else to do. But this will hopefully fix that. Okay, play your half guard. A really good start, in my opinion, would be you get half guard, throw in your hip clamp as soon as you can, and then you're either looking for old school chain or I'd say some form of attack. That's a really good beginner kind of strategy. Butterfly half guard, I would use it. I would tend to use it more when I'm getting smashed, like for these sort of moves. But you can also just force the butterfly half guard. But these are really good beginner kind of windows into how to play half guard. A lot of people just play half guard and a certain something doesn't work, so they kind of hate the guard. But if you combine the recoveries, which is our first lesson on Monday, so we know how to deal with getting smashed, we recover, and we set up a half guard game plan, you should be quite successful with your moves. Okay, any questions so far? Before we move on, we're doing the fight breakdown next, so that's it for the lesson. Which one of the three do you think would be good to focus on to complement this style? The one, so I'm gonna be biased here, but the one I have most success with is the knee twist quarter guard, which it's a variation of the old school half guard. I'd say the most underused one is the hip clamp. So it really depends on what you're good at, but the easiest one to get good at, I'll say, is the knee twist, which is focus on the old school one first, and then the knee twist is just a little change of the leg work. I'm going to talk about it in a second, and we're going to see it's a fight which the guy uses this knee twist. But the knee twist is essentially the old school chain. I'd say that one is the one I'd focus on at the start, because you can get to it anytime you have an underhook, right? And from our recovery system, which is all of these moves, all of our recovery, we end up with the underhook at the end. And the old school chain, I'd say, is the best one that kind of like combines with the recovery, if that makes sense. So you've recovered and you can go straight into your old school system half of the time. And you can't do that for these other different guards, if that makes sense. So if I recover, there's only a certain time where I can go to butterfly. There's only a certain time where I can start attacking them. And if there's only a certain time where I can do the hip clamp. But from all of the correct recoveries, if I get an underhook, I can always go for the underhook chain. So I'd say this one, if that makes sense. Cool. I tend to play half guard and shoot into deep half as a secondary. However, I'm thinking of adding butterfly, open guard, and closed guard. Yes. That is, you're probably forcing the deep half a little bit too much. And if you're a deep half player, that's okay. But there's actually a good time to go for butterfly, for deep half, okay? If you're a very good half guard player, your main transition to deep half is when people are trying to cut their knee across your chest. I don't know if I have an example here. I think I do. It's somewhere here. Then hold on a second. Talk amongst yourself or something while I find this. I think I do have a deep half transition move here. Clips. Deep half. Here we go. So the time to really go for your deep half, right? You're shooting in for your underhook, and this is quite good for our underhook game plan as well. So here I could force the deep half, right? Or I could go knee twist, or I could go half guard, or I could go butterfly, all those sorts of moves. You shoot for your underhook, and Kirsten brings this leg up, okay? Or she tries to drive the knee across. That's your big indicator for deep half. So if you are looking for a clean system of half guard, there's an indicator for every single transition that you make. So if she brings this knee across your tummy there, that's a really good time to go for deep half. If she's not, you're usually doing some form of entry for it, which is just shooting for your underhooks and trying to get the leg out. But again, if you're against a deep half player and they know you're going for a deep half, you probably get in trouble trying to force it. So I'd save it until there's a right time for it. But if that's your A game, then you can probably find your way around it. Like, a good example is Bernardo Faria. He just kind of forces the deep half in most cases. Even if it doesn't work out for him very well, he's still trying to force it. And with a lot of struggling, he can get there most of the time. But, yeah. Anyway, today we're looking at Lucas Leite versus John Slanter. And he's a perfect example on how to play half guard. So, here we go. So he pulls, I think the fight skips a bit, but he pulls guard at some point. And Lucas Leite, if you don't know, he's famous for his half guard old school chain, or the wizard sweep. I'm not sure if he invented it or if he made up the move, but he's quite good at it. Anyway, so he's playing the collar and sleeve game here, you can see. Sets up his half guard now. Just a little trying to off balance him a little bit. Some form of butterfly attempt there. And there we go. That's the start of the move. Okay, he sits up for the underhook. You guys might not be able to notice, but there's a couple of attempts of moves that he did there. These two grips, there's only one move that they can go for with these two grips. If anyone ever gets to these two grips, they're trying the Shaolin sweep, which is an overhead sweep that people do, where they load their weight onto the knee shield and they do a backward roll. That makes sense. I have the neatest desktop. You should see it. This is like my streaming desktop. You should see the other desktop. I wouldn't. But anyway, so that's the Shaolin attempt sweep there. That doesn't work. He moves on straight to the underhook because he feels the guy sitting like backwards. The guy on top noticed that he was going for the Shaolin sweep. So there's the underhook. Boom. With his right arm, he's looking. The guy is whizzing, just like we said. So he's looking, fishing for that leg. See that? He takes a grip. The guy still has the whizzer, so he has to. Now, this is where. Remember, I said knee twist? This is knee twist. Knee twist is where you only have the guy's foot trapped over here. Okay? If we go back to our lesson plan, I did the old school move from full half guard. So full half guard means that's a terrible angle. But full half guard means that imaginary left leg there, it's over Kirsten's knee. So her kneecap will probably be around here. And I'm above the kneecap, okay? Knee twist just means that leg there is below her kneecap, which makes it a bit more torquey on the knee. So that's the only change from the old school chain into the knee twist chain. And that's what Lucas Lepre is doing here. Not Lepre, Lucas Leite, sorry. So the guy's kneecap is probably over here, and he's below that kneecap, which makes it a lot more torquey and a lot more powerful. Okay, so once you learn your old school chain, all you have to do is a small little transition to the knee twist chain, and this is what he's doing. So now all he has to do is base up. The guy's trying to sprawl to stop him from getting up. Anytime he twists to his left, that means he's trying to do the whizzer sweep. So he's trying to sweep the guy underneath him. He could come up, or he could sweep the guy towards his left. So that's him attempting to sweep to the left. The guy puts his weight backwards. So he's attempting to come up now. And it's a really hard guard. You see, his knee's jacked. He can't force this knee to the other side. He can't straighten his knee. It's like, normally when you get to this position, the guy has to accept two things. Either he's going to sit on his heel and you're going to come up, or he's going to try to sweep to the other side. On top, there's not much you can do. Any form of attack that you try, if you try to guillotine, you get swept. If you try to backstep, you get swept. If you try to re-swim, they can chase your back. I don't know any good counters to this move, except for trying to create a scramble, try to get your knee out. So it's a very bulletproof technique, okay? There's the sweep. Doesn't work, so he's almost coming up again. And he's just trying the moves over and over again. He's either going one way or the other until he gets it. Takes him a while, but he eventually gets it. And again, the guy on top, he's just trying to whizzer, and he doesn't really have a plan there. He's just stuck. He's looking loud for help. There's the sweep attempt again. There's the get up. The guy stands up. He has to transition to some form of standing sweep. Creates a scramble here. He still has the knee twist. That's a form of the knee twist there. Gets swept. And again, the guy kind of scrambles out, so he gives up the back, which happens a lot. And he gets, I think that's it, he gets the tap from there. But you can see the guy had like no answer to this technique. This happens a lot, right? Where people stand. That's one of the most common counters to it. But as long as you keep that knee twist position and some form of connection of the far leg, you can usually sweep people or end up on their back. A lot of times they'll try to throw you backwards, so they do a sumigashi here and try to like throw you, giving you the momentum to sweep them half the time as well. But from there you can just see he trips him. Unfortunately, the guy scrambles out, but he's always sticky with that underhook, and he's always trying to like, yeah, persistence is like key here. I believe I do have a match where I use the knee twist as well. Let me see if I can find it. So here's another example. This is me. So this guy is like 10 times better than me, right? He's like multiple time world champion, etc. But I knew going into this that I had two game plans. I had reverse half guard and I had that knee twist position because I know people are not very good at defending it. Okay, so that was my whole strategy behind this fight. I just wanted to find get into the knee twist position so I could sweep him, and I kind of knew that if I got there, he might not have an answer, and I could force him to make mistakes and etc. So the start's a bit boring, but this is mostly me playing half guard here. That's me with the hip clamp. There's a lot of double guard pull. I can post the link after if you want to watch the full match, but we only have a few minutes left. So I'll get into the bit with the half guard. Here it is. So he gets up at some point, try to pass. I get my half guard. This is where I start. So I get my underhook and I look for the old school chain. So I get the belt. This is me trying to switch to the knee twist. I haven't got the knee twist right now. I've got to trap his foot in the bend of my knee at a certain point. But I have my underhook and I have control of his far leg. So I know I've got the position already. So at this point, I'm just transitioning my legs. I look for the old school there, so I trap his foot. And it takes me a while, but that's me trying to sweep him to the other side. That's the sweep. He's hooking my leg here and going for a choke, but I've been on this choke 100 times. I know which way to jump to and etc. So he feels like it's on, but he wasn't really choking me. I was just trying to get my leg out. So I get my leg and I get a sweep there. But the ref didn't give me the points there, which is annoying. Which was his mistake. But that's the first form of the knee twist there. And then, again, that's my whole game plan. So I do manage to get it again somewhere around here. There it is. So I shoot for my underhook. It's a bit harder to see this one. Oh no, I lost the YouTube thing link. There's the underhook. You can't see it from this angle, but it's exactly the same technique. I get the knee twist. I'm trying to sweep him backwards or forwards. There's the so that was the sweep to the other side this time. So the last one I swept him backwards. With this one, I sweep him forwards instead because he was leaning to that direction. And then again, a lot of times it forces some form of scramble, and I end up on his back because of the scramble. And basically, I just win because of that, because of the knee twist position. That's a good example on how to use strategy to beat someone who's way better than you. Like if I played my regular game here, which is the Lahiva and spider open guard, he's very used to that. Everyone in this weight class kind of uses that kind of guard, and I'm like 80% sure I might have lost because he's used to all of those techniques. But because I played my knee twist game, I was able to almost get his back and win. But yeah, Lucas Leitch is the one that I looked up to learn that sweep. So if you guys want to get good at it, just find links with his name on it on YouTube, and he has lots of nice instructions on it. But it's a very good system to follow. Cool, and that's the end of this class. If you got any questions or whatever, it takes a lot of practice. It is hard to use at the start because you have to know every little submission attempt and every little move the guy can do to you. But once you get it, it's like really good. And you saw like Kirstine, and I teach it to her all the time how good she is at it. She gets me with it all the time, and she gets in comp all the time as well. She probably has more highlight moves than me with that move. Anyway, alright, let's join our Discord group if you want. Ask questions, fire away, or talk while I look at memes. I'll send the link here. Where's the link? Here's the link. Whoops, that's the wrong link. Let's see if people have learned how to use this yet. If people can't figure out, I might just use the Zoom thing again. Igor reacts to, yes. It's Pew News.
Igor reviews. Meme review.
No worries, brother. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. If you guys got any videos of your fights and you want to send it to me, send it to this, or any fights you want me to review or break down, send it to that email and I'll have a look at it. Is there another class now? Send it.
Friday, yes, Joe. Solo.
They can. You're still undefeated, aren't you? I think you're still undefeated.
There is a class.
What class is it?
Solo drill.
Oh, solo drills. Oh, guys, there's a solo drills class now. Where is it? Who's taking it?
Joe.
By Joe from Spain. So if you guys want to tune into that, he's on Zoom. So enjoy. But I'm gonna end the stream now. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all on Monday. I'll be on the Discord group if you guys want to hang out there.
Tuesday, no?
Or Tuesday, sorry, not Monday. Alright.